وصحبه ومن والاه. Inshallah, dear brothers and sisters, as it is Thursday night and we go over the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Thursday nights. So tonight with another name from Asma'ullah al-Husna, from the excellent names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the name that I wanted to reflect on tonight is the name of Allah, al-Qahhar. Al-Qahhar. Al-Qahhar can be translated in different ways. One of the ways in which it is generally translated is the dominator, the one who dominates, the one who prevails, the one who vanquishes, the one who overcomes others and is not overcome by anybody else, is never vanquished by anybody else. Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala, explaining this name of Allah Azza wa Jal, he says that al-Qahhar is the one who breaks the backs of the powerful among his enemies and subdues them and humiliates them. Indeed, there is no existing thing that is not subject to the domination of the power of al-Qahhar. And there's nothing that is not utterly powerless in the grasp of al-Qahhar. Now this name al-Qahhar appears in the Quran a few times, 6 times to be exact. 6 times Allah Azza wa Jal calls himself al-Qahhar in the Quran. And there are 2 times when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls himself al-Qahir. So al-Qahir and al-Qahhar, they both mean the same thing, but there is a slight difference in meaning. And that is that al-Qahhar is an emphatic form. It is sigha mubalagha. There is mubalagha, there's emphasis in this name. And therefore al-Qahir is the one who dominates. Al-Qahhar is the one who always dominates. His domination, in other words, is uninterrupted, consistent, constant. Now this name of Allah Azza wa Jal, al-Qahhar, is a Jalali name. And we've talked about this before, that the names of Allah can be categorized into 2 categories. Jalali and Jamali. Names of Jalal, majesty, reverence, and names of Jamal, beauty. The names of Jalal, they invoke in us feelings of fear and of awe and of reverence for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the Almighty. He is the powerful. He is the avenger. He is the strong. These are names of Jalal. Al-Qahhar is such a name. As for the names of Jamal, like Wadud, like Rahim, like Rahman, like Ghafoor, like Ra'uf, these are names like the compassionate, the forgiving, the kind, the merciful. These are names that invoke in us feelings of hope, feelings of love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what makes him perfect, Azza wa Jal, part of what makes him perfect is that he has both Jalali attributes and Jamali attributes. And so this is a Jalali attribute. And so when we invoke Allah Azza wa Jal with this name al-Qahhar, we say, Ya Qahhar. We invoke him so that, because we are invoking him against an enemy. Like if we have an enemy and we're feeling completely powerless in front of our enemy, we call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his name al-Qahhar, because we're asking him for his help against my enemy. And now my enemy can be a physical enemy, like enemies of Islam and Muslims in the physical world, or an individual enemy that I have, or my enemy can be a spiritual enemy. The shaitan is all of our enemy. And so the nafs is our enemy. And so we invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his name al-Qahhar against any enemy that we have. But when we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as al-Qahhar, that should also make me afraid of Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because I should be afraid of Allah overpowering me. And I should be careful not to harm somebody else, because Allah is qahirun fawqa ibadihi, that Allah dominates all of His creation. That if I do this to one of His creation, what can al-Qahhar do to me? The one who absolutely dominates, and I cannot escape Him once He dominates over me. And so al-Qahhar is a name that we remember when we are about to do something wrong, and it should protect us or prevent us from doing wrong. And at the same time, it is a name that we remember when we are being wronged by others, that we invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this name, Ya Qahhar. And lastly, part of what we're supposed to do with these names of Allah Azza wa Jal is to live by these names. Meaning what? Meaning to cultivate the meanings of these names in our own behavior, character, personalities. And so if Allah is Rahim, then I need to be Abdur Rahim, meaning I need to be an abd, a slave who himself shows rahmah in the way that he interacts with others. And so if Allah is al-Qahhar, then I need to be Abdul Qahhar, which means what? That I need to gather the strength inside of me to overpower bad habits, to overpower the shaitan, to dominate my own base desires and temptations and nafs, and not to give in to my drives, not to give in to my temptations. Something passes in front of me and I lower my gaze. There's an urge to look again. There's an urge. If I follow that urge, then I'm weak. I'm da'if, weak. I'm not Abdul Qahhar. Abdul Qahhar is the one who overpowers that urge, who dominates over that base, lowly, animalistic desire. I need to be Abdul Qahhar. I need to be strong. I need to be powerful. And so, part of what we need to do is to cultivate this strength, this ability to dominate the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are not docile weaklings in front of the enemies of Allah. No. Like the Sahaba, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we dominate over them. So we need to develop that courage, that strength over all sorts of enemies, whether they are physical enemies or spiritual enemies. When we do that, then we are truly living by this name, al-Qahhar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all ibad of al-Qahhar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us closeness to Allah Azza wa Jal through these names. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.